There you are. Welcome back to the video. We have all types of disturbing theories, scary TikToks, and creepy videos coming straight at you. Without further ado, let's dive in.
That's the tendon that runs down the leg. That's the blood at the bottom of his leg. This is literally his kneecap. This is the fleshy area. It turns to stone. The fleshy part turns to stone. Blood and the fluidy, wet stuff doesn't. It stays inside. And it will leak out eventually, just like this one is. This is as strange as it gets, and I am just as baffled as anybody. But look, I don't have any idea what that is. And this guy is saying, "What did you do to me?" Look at him. Look at his face. And that's what they said. And they were amazed.
Like, I'm getting like half man, half goat vibes. What are they called? Satyrs? It was on that Olympian Jackson. I forgot. You know, they got the horns, the Greek. They escaped me. Satyrs, I'm thinking.
Amazed when this stuff happened to him. Right at the very first words, he says, "I intend to speak of forms changed into new entities. If there are any friends here, turn your face away." And he held up the Gorgon's head. As he prepared to throw his deadly javelin, he was frozen like a marble statue. In the act, Empix, next to him, thrust his sword straight at the heart of the courageous descendant of Licinius, and in thrusting, his right hand stiffened, without movement, this way of that. But Nilus, who falsely claimed that he was born of the Nile, with its 7 mouths, his shield engraved with its 7 streams, part gold, part silver, cried, "Perseus, see the sources of my people?" The last echo of his voice was cut off in mid-flight, and you might believe his mouth still wished to speak, though it was no longer pervious to words. He turned to stone and said, "Ah!" Eryx rebuked them, saying, "Lack of courage, not the power of the Gorgon, freezes you. Rush in with me and knock this youth and his magic weapon to the ground." He had started his rush, but the floor held his feet fast, and there he stayed, unmoving stone, a fully armored statue. This is the key, a fully armored statue. Everything goes to stone. Now listen to this. Phineus is turned to stone. They all deserved the punishment they suffered, except one of Perseus's warriors. While he was fighting on his side, Aconteus saw the Gorgon's head and took the shape of hardened stone. Astyages struck him with his long sword, thinking he was still alive, and the blade gave a high-pitched ringing noise. Ting! The same power transformed him, and he remained there with a wondering look on his marble face. 200 bodies survived the fight. 200 bodies were turned to stone. How it happened? I don't know. For the life of me, I can't imagine looking at something and that would cause you to turn to stone. So,
There's 200 stone statues still out there petrified. So it makes you think about those petrified statues that we see all over. Could they have been real at one time? We can even go as far as the Greek gods, people, the Poseidon and Zeus and them. What if they were all fallen angels? This is just a theory. I'm just thinking, y'all. What if they were fallen angels? And these were experiments that gone wrong. Like Medusa was like a experiment, maybe. Went wrong. Who knows?
somehow that thing is, something was coming out of it. Now, these guys that were next to the statue said they can feel some kind of presence. They can feel some kind of energy. That was a living creature at one time. I've looked at it very carefully. His leg and all of this different discoloration, the kaolin clays of the face, different than the rest. He's strangling a little dragon here. And they still won't consider to look at it. The more educated they are, the less likely it is that they can conceive of this being reality.
Damn. He said it was strangling a dragon. That is crazy.
even though the reality is smashed into their faces. That's the tendon that
Even though the reality is smashed in their faces, all these colossal petrified statues, can't you see?
Have you guys ever heard about the indigenous castles of America? All of the historians state that our castles was turned into prisons and colleges, with the Alcatraz prison being the most famous one. This is what Queen Khalifa Castle said. Okay, let's get into how we lost our homes that we built. We've been fighting with the invaders since 1492, but I want to talk about the recent wars. We had our own military over here in America. This is what they don't tell you. A lot of us had to leave our family and children and go fight in this war. With our last stronghold being down in Florida, we had tribes come from all over the world to help us. This is why so-called slavery was still going on in the South in civil wars. The invaders was organized in the North. The invaders from the South would tell the invaders up North that the war is over and that they won. But the whole time, we were still fighting each other. The war was never over, but they started rounding us up, holding us as hostages. Just for the record, we was never slaves. We was POWs. And this is when they started to move inside of our castles. And they seen that we had dungeons on the bottom level. So instead of them building their own jails, they just threw us inside of our ancestors' house. And usually, the warden of the prison would stay up on the top level. These castles are ancient, and it belongs to our ancestors. They don't have enough knowledge or creativity to build something like this. Now, the newer box rectangle buildings, these is considered their newer prisons. But the castles belongs to us, the children of the sun. Peace and ashe.
This one stone, they call it the largest operation of its kind since the Egyptians built the pyramids. It took 9 days to move this 340-ton stone. The stone at the Ramesseum is 3 times heavier.
So this is the statue. It somehow or another fell.
God knows what would have taken to knock this thing over. They say, oh, probably an earthquake. It was a seated statue.
And how far did they move that stone?
170 miles, and the other one was moved 106 miles.
170 miles. It's 2 million pounds.
They say that the stones would have been moved on tree logs. If they're going to say that they moved a 2.2 million pound stone on tree logs, well, they say that it was the Lebanon cedar trees, one of the softest on earth. And if you were to put significant weight on it, it would either crush it, crumble it, or at least dent it out of a circle.
I don't even think an airship could pick those bad boys up. Those things are heavy, maybe in pieces. The pyrophone, one of the most extraordinary, hauntingly rare instruments in the world.
The pyrophone, the instrument that creates music using fire.
That sounded terrible. Almost like a haunted movie ambiance or something. All right, this says watch his eyes.
Watch his eyes. Watch his eyes.
That is crazy. He was really looking at him the whole time. Who's inside this? What is going on? I would have been out of there so quick.
Oh, you mother. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You mother be playing basketball in Pelican Bay. Oh, you mother. Okay.
Something's not adding up here, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Entire 7-day forecast moving forward. Wonder what that is right there. That's pretty interesting. Moving really fast. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got here. Just interesting stuff flying around the sky. Entire 7-day forecast.
You guys better look up. The stuff's up there, I'm telling you.
It's right there. That's pretty interesting. Moving really fast. Okay.
If you're watching this video and you're enjoying the content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button because we do these videos every single day. And I'd love to see you tomorrow. Now let's get straight back into the action. Wow, there's so many demons inside that King Charles painting, it's ridiculous.
There's this guy. It looks like he's wearing a uniform like we are. So it looked really strange. And then I began to notice his skin tone looked like he might be hypothermic. He's right there at the corner of the front of the car. And I
So he looks pale? Is that what you're saying?
he looked like an albino with a very bluish kind of undertone. As I'm starting to open my door to try to, administer aid to this guy, the dude in the front passenger seat screams he's got no ears. And I close the door and I look up and he's got no freaking ears. And his eyes are twice as big. And I just am like, yeah, what the hell did I just walk into? And I'm starting to freak out. But then he starts to talk to me and it's not my language. But the understanding is like coming into my mind about every word he's saying. So I know there's a telepathic thing going on here. And it calms me down at the same time. He's like, hello, I'm having trouble with my craft. I need some repair material. Do you know where I could find some tritium? So I knew where Dreamland was, and I pointed to the mountain range. Dreamland's just over there. And this wave of emotion hit me like disgust. I am not going to talk to those barbarians and murderers. There's this guy. It looks like he's wearing a uniform like we are. So it looked really strange. And then I began to notice his skin tone looked like...
How strange. Whoever yelled at him and said, he's got no ears, tried to look out, didn't he? How interesting. And then he asked for some trinium? What did he ask for?
Might be hypothermic. He's right there at the corner of the front of the car. And
So he looks pale? Is that what you're saying?
he looked like an albino with a very bluish kind of undertone. As I'm starting to open my door to try to, administer aid to this guy, the dude in the front passenger seat screams he's got no ears. And I close the door and I look up and he's got no freaking ears. And his eyes are twice as big. And I just am like, yeah, what the
Oh my goodness, how terrifying.
hell did I just walk into? And I'm starting to freak out, but then he starts to talk to me and it's not my language. But the understanding is like coming into my mind about every word he's saying. So I know there's a telepathic thing going on here and it calms me down at the same time. He's like, hello, I'm having trouble with my craft. I need some repair material. Do you know where I could find some tritium? So I knew where Dreamland was and I pointed to the mountain range. Dreamland's just over there. And this wave of emotion hit me like disgust.
What is Dreamland? And look, he's getting the alien's thoughts. Look how the alien felt about him.
I'm not going to talk to those barbarians and murderers.
Damn, that one was deep. Drop your thoughts below.
There's been some interesting studies done on the faces of giant statues. One in particular is the face of Ramses. There's a statue at Luxor, and it's perfect. You can't achieve that degree of symmetry just by eyeballing it and doing it by hand.
It's virtual perfection.
Take a copy of that photo, bang on, like very front on, and then you flip it. It's perfectly symmetrical, left to right. It's also not something that is done in artwork. So, people often say, well, Michelangelo, he carved David. It's a beautiful statue. I've seen it's incredible, but it's human. It's not symmetrical.
What's the explanation for this that modern archaeologists use?
They did it by hand, right?
They do it by hand. That's literally what they say. You just don't, they're not engineers and construction experts at the end of the day. That's the problem. You can't achieve that degree of symmetry just by doing it by hand.
So you mean to tell me they had some type of ancient CNC machine?
But not only that, is the fact that each one of these stones is a different shape and size, and they all interlock almost perfectly. We in the West would never approach construction this way. We would either have a saw that would cut uniform blocks to fit together, or we would have some kind of mold and pour concrete or something in to get uniform blocks for construction. But in this case, whoever these ancient builders were, it was not the Inca. This wall is 39 inches thick. The accuracy of this joinery is as good on the inside as it is on the outside. And not only that, it's as good in between. It's not as though there's a veneer finish to make it look good in the front and back and have gaps in between the stones. It is technically astonishing. And the tightness of the construction of the Coricancha is technically almost flawless. It's not a question of not being able to fit a credit card or even a business card in between these joins like that. There's no way. But not only that is the fact that each one of these stones is a different shape and size, and they all interlock almost perfectly.
How did they do it?
In this video, we have someone who's home standing in the hallway looking at his room. He noticed something scary when he turned off the lights. Let's watch.
Alright, tell me I'm on crack. Every time I turn off the light, there's like a shadow there. Watch. You see that? What the fuck? What the f?
Where did that shadow come from? It looks like an entire person over there. And then when he turns the lights, watch, it disappears.
What the fuck? What the f?
In this video,
Yes, son.
Video completo en...
There's this guy. Yes, son.
Video completo en comentarios.
That's some heavy equipment, whatever's getting slung around like that.
Did the Russians try to capture a bunch of underwater aliens they found in a lake? Well, the story was found in their own secret files. Watch this and decide for yourself, Fushkis.
Siberia, 1982. With a depth of 1,642 meters, Lake Baikal is the deepest freshwater lake in the world. 7 Russian divers are at a depth of 50 meters, when suddenly, the frogmen realize they are being watched.
These strange humanoid figures were much bigger than human beings and appeared to be wearing helmets of some sort. What on earth are we to make of an encounter like this? It's one thing to talk about USOs, but quite another to talk about humanoid entities deep in the lake.
These were large beings, human-shaped but like 9 feet tall, wearing what seemed like very tight-fitting silvery suits. Not your normal scuba gear, basically. Swimming in the water, what they've come to call the swimmers.
The Russian divers then make a fateful decision. They try to capture one.
The divers attempted to capture one of these creatures, but at this point, so the documents say, the entities reacted.
A powerful, unknown force suddenly propels the entire group of divers up from the deep water to the surface.
They did a rapid rise to the surface of the water. Well, when you do that too fast, you suffer from decompression, you get the bends, and it's deadly. There were 7 of these divers, and 3 of them died. And 4 were very severely injured as a result of this.
Why did these creatures react the way that they did? I have to think that when we began to act aggressively, when the divers wanted to capture one of these creatures and throw a net over it, that perhaps they were reacting in a defensive way when they expelled the divers to the surface.
You're definitely but not about to capture an alien with a net. Come on now.
My bad. We're leaving. How are you doing?
What, was somebody living up there? What is that?
How are you doing?
In this clip, a resident of the Appalachian Mountains notices something outside that seems to be observing him. He grabs his phone to record it. Let's take a look.
The fuck is that? The fuck in the woods? Hello? Hello?
In this clip, a resident of the Appalachian Mountains notices something outside that seems to be observing him. He grabs his phone to record it. Let's take a look.
The fuck is that? The fuck in the woods? Hello?
Yeah, that's observing. That's prey out there. Like it reminds me of the Predator movie. I'll be careful.
What are you doing in my house? What are you doing in my house?
First off, I don't know if you crying or laughing talking about
What are you doing in my house? What are you doing in my house?
First off, I don't know if you crying or laughing talking about what are you doing in my house. No, the real question is, why are you still in the house?
What are you doing in my house? What are you doing?
Bro, I would've Liu Kang bicycle kicked this object so hard.
Going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it? Like, what are you seeing?
It's a very ominous feeling because first of all, everything is one color. It's like a dark pewter color, and there are no right angles anywhere. It's as if somebody took, I've said this before, somebody took a model and fashioned it out of wax and then heated it just for a short time so everything melted. Everything looks like it's fused together. Everything has a radius of curvature where two items meet. It's a really weird looking thing, but there was almost nothing other than a small foldable hatchway that looked recognizable. Everything was really unworldly, to pick on it, a way to describe it.
So you get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
Yeah, you can't really stand up till you get to the very center of it.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
And what do you think this was designed for?
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Yeah, and the seats were small too. I mean, obviously it was made, for something small. But there is there's nothing else in there. There's just seats, the reactor, and some of the subcomponents. There's no control panels. There's no bathroom. There's no decorative components or artwork or anything that you would recognize or trim. I mean, it's just a very bare bones thing.
Going into this craft, and what are you thinking when you're inside of it?
The Greys are real. Gray aliens exist. It is at this point undeniable. I mean, if you know anything about ufology, especially as it pertains to the abduction phenomenon, and then you listen to the testimony of guys like David Grush, Bob Lazar, and others, many others, gray aliens are at this point stone cold fact. Now, what they are exactly, where they come from, who knows? The Greys are real.
For entertainment purposes only, don't believe everything you hear or see on these videos. Do your own research on everything. It just seems a little odd to me that a UFO has a hatch to get in and out instead of something else.
Look, I don't think anyone's ever said that space isn't at least a little scary, and this theory right here is quite terrifying. This slideshow that I got tagged in starts off by saying space isn't scary. Yes, it is. And then it mentions something known as the dark forest theory. So this theory attempts to explain why humans still haven't had contact with aliens when the universe is so massive. It states that aliens might not want to send signals out across the universe because something much more dangerous might be lurking there, waiting to eliminate them. This also insinuates that aliens are violent and they attempt to wipe out other civilizations, so there's no competition. Another theory as to why we still haven't communicated with aliens is the Great Filter Theory, where this states that aliens basically make themselves go extinct before they have the technology available to do so. And the final theory that goes along with this is the Zoo Theory. We're just not advanced enough and aliens are observing us without making contact. All of these theories are pretty wild to think about, but in my opinion, the scariest is definitely the Dark Forest Theory.
The Zoo Theory. Other aliens just coming to see us, like the zoo. That's wild. The Dark Forest is interesting. Like they're all hiding from Galactica up there or something. For entertainment purposes only, guys.
Because now we don't call it unfortunately, I met patches make this company. See the white patches? I met the doctor. Because now we don't call it because unfortunately, I met patches make this company. See the white patches? I met the doctor.
So as you notice, the resonance inside that box was absolutely astonishing. When I was able to hit the resonance tone that the box liked. Also curiously, there are more than 20 of these 100-ton boxes inside this chamber. All of them except one were found with the lid slid as if open. The one that was still supposedly sealed off. They used gunpowder in the 19th century to blow a hole in it to see what was inside, and they found nothing.
Because now we don't call it
But if you ask me, this is possibly part of a giant battery. And the pyramids was like a giant generator, if you ask me.
Boss, can't go past Enterprise van. No. Now I'm in the middle of it. But he's been honking. Oh, he literally just got in. Oh my god. That's one way to do her.
If you ask me, that's the type of bus driver I want. They making sure it's getting done no matter what.
I was out here fishing and sirens came from this island. I swear to God, I have it on video. I'm gonna play it shortly. Did you catch that, guys? Okay. For real though, my cast is gonna be gone. Guys, use nothing on your hook. I have a worm.
How the f*** do you think they did this?
Even go as far as, well, they were softening the stone somehow with some molecular technology. Speculation like that. Connections possibly to gravity manipulation. I think anti-gravity had to play a part in moving some of this stuff. I actually think there's some connections to some of the work that's being done with this plasmoid implosion technology, the stuff that Randall's been looking into that's coming back to talk a little bit about. The relationship and the sacred geometry aspects of that are similar to the things that we see in some of these cultures in the past. But then you have at least 3 or 4 finished statues that were 1,000 tons, single piece granite. And one of them's in a place called Tanis, which is way up in the north in the Delta. That's more than 1,000 miles from where that stone came from. And then moving that thing, it was around 1,000 tons finished, single piece granite, So moving it, you may be at 1,500 tons or more, like moving that. Maybe they were never intended to be blocks, or maybe they were never intended to be finished. But if you assume they're blocks, these two blocks weigh, I think it's 3,500 and 5,000 tons a piece, based on the density of limestone in that region. How the do you think they did this?
No, it's creepy to think about, but it was probably giants. They had giants pick them up, 2 of them, carried them bad boys for entertainment purposes only.
Look at this 1602 book. Now, in my search for strange things to share with you, I think I found a particularly odd detail. Fish arms.
What an absolutely weird illustration. And if you look on the cover of this, it looks like they have some type of Illuminati triangle. Look at the weird faces. Then when he opens this weird, strange book, look, fish arms. What is going on?
There's a reason why there is a growing interest in the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations, because there's a reason why there is a growing interest in the mysteries of lost ancient civilizations, because smart people of all kinds of walks of life are looking into the nuanced details and realizing, like, oh, wait a second. Like when Graham Hancock says that there's a missing chapter of human history, like, this is reality. We don't know how they built the Great Pyramid. It is a fact that the Egyptians left us with no explanation of any kind. Out of the tens of thousands of hieroglyphs all over Egypt, not a single one of them describes how they constructed the pyramid or how they cut granite stones. Not one. There's a reason why there is a growing...
Or they might have found them and they're keeping it in the Vatican archive so we can't see it. But it is weird that they don't mention how they cut them. We need to dive in deeper into this theory.
It's unfinished, and when we look over here, the serpent has now acquired a finish. We find another example right here. This is where it all really comes together, where you have the bird, the falcon, Horus, and the entire body is left unfinished. And up above, you can see the plume headdress has acquired a finish. There's lines. Only the headdress has a finish. But when you come back over here, you'll notice now Horus has a very fine, his body is detailed, he has a finish, but the headdress has no finish. It's left unfinished. This is our quest in humanity. We come into this world with the potential for being, coming into creation. This is on the east side, and we go on to the west side, where now you have spirit manifested into matter with the potential to return to spirit. So it's all representing one cosmological cycle. Same thing here. Again, we see the so-called Dendera light bulb. We have the serpent emerging from the lotus. The serpent's head is destroyed here, but as you can see, the serpent has no finish. And when we come on this side, you look at the detail, it has the scales. The serpent has now acquired its finish. It's a second stage in a cosmological process. It's immaterial becoming material, the unseen becoming seen, the spirit manifesting as matter. 1, 2. So this is an expression of 2 stages in a cosmological sequence from east to west, and it was here in the crypt that the priests would store these various items, the statue that they would bring out once a year and go up through the staircase to celebrate the new year here at the Temple of Dendera. It's unfinished, and when we look over here...
How would they move these giant blocks out into the people, like outside for them to see it? Because it looks like it's inside. So this is just fascinating. I never seen anybody break these down. Like how this is detailed on the right side, the top, and the bird itself isn't. But when you go to the left side, you can see that it's detailed. Man, I want to see this, man. I have to go see this one day. But how cool is that? Drop your thoughts below in the comments. I'm very interested.
Look at this. Let's go to one side so you get a sense of the 3D-ness of it. I mean, that is like curved all the way around. Well, look, I'll show you it in detail. And then it walks all the way around here, going around in this curve. I mean, how do you do that in solid granite? That is just something else. See that precision there? We're zooming in a bit now. And then that kind of mixes with that. Oh my God, that is incredible. And then it blends. This is carved out. This isn't separate pieces. This is the bedrock. And then it carves with that. Look at that. Look at this area here. is of extreme interest, which I haven't seen before. I've never seen photos of this part. This is insane. There's a beautiful line coming up here. This is incredible. How on earth would you even think about creating this? This is beyond anything I've even seen in Egypt.
This is taking place in India. When you looked over here to the right, when he started dissecting that right corner, and this is made out of one piece, now I envision some type of hot ancient technology tool that's just carving that out like a lightsaber, because that's got to be the only way for the precision. Like it just was like a lightsaber. How else are they going to carve into one piece of rock like that?
Try to cut it. Never happened. Use a laser cut. Never happened. Okay, now I have to shut up for a minute. If we can do that today, look at the hieroglyphic that being carved on that pyramid. And number two, it is not even looking at the hieroglyphic. Somebody tried to chop this hieroglyphic, and he managed to do a little bit of it. We can do that today. So it looks like a pressing machine, burning machine, being added there. If laser can do it today, so what the hell they use to make it with that perfection? Look, even polished and glazed, lift rough. The eye of Horus, the lung of Osiris, Ra, duck and circle, reeds and a honeybee, and then the names of the pharaoh and hieroglyphic. Perfection of the size. Same precision, depth, width. It is mind-blowing. Try to cut it.
It's the same thing I'm thinking, like some type of laser technology, ancient laser technology. I would love to see how they did it. Did they have some type of beam aiming at the sun? Did they harvest solar energy to pop it off? That might be an idea too. They might have used some type of solar technology. That's an idea.
And here in the side room of the Coricancha, we see different shapes that are not in their original places. And here, what has to be a machine drill hole. There's no other way this could have been done. Work would be very difficult to do today, including this tiny stone put in there. As we walk through the Coricancha again, we see astonishing accuracy. These walls average 3 feet thick, and there is no gap from the front all the way to the back. And this lintel, or this recess area, you can see is almost perfectly level. And here, in the side room of the Coricancha,
how fascinating would it be just to see them build it back in the ancient day, to see the real technique that it used to actually construct those. Ancient Assyrian.
Statue of King Akhenaten holding the flail and crook. Akhenaten transformed the religion, art, and politics of ancient Egypt, only for his legacy to be buried. Today, he endures as a symbol of change. A statue of King Akhenaten.
I don't know if it's me, but those structures do not look human.
When we look at the sarcophagus, what we find is that these are not made of the red granite that we see in Aswan, because the granite is made of 3 primary minerals: quartz, feldspar, and mica. In the case of Aswan granite, we have rose quartz, and we have a pink feldspar. This is not the case. When in Saqqara, what we find is something called black granite. And this is fascinating to me because it is a lower quartz, only about 20% quartz, rather than the 84% that we find in Aswan. Lower quartz granite, high percentage of biotite mica. Geologically, what does this tell us? The mica itself, the biotite, is a powerful insulator. Whatever was happening inside of that sarcophagus, these devices were built to contain whatever was happening, to contain the energy, to protect whatever was happening inside, and also to protect whatever was happening inside from an external environment. When we look at the sarcophagus,
Sounds like it plays a key role into a giant power plant, a pyramid power plant. Yeah, if you look at these paws, they definitely don't align to the body and head. I believe this thing was way bigger. It could either been a dog or even a lion, because these don't look like dog paws. They look like more like lion paws. So I believe at one time this could have possibly been something even larger, a lion with a tail. And then after years of erosion, they chipped it away and then they turned it into a sphinx. It looked like something was crawling. Did you see that? Where's the rest of the footage?
During excavations in Babylon, a mysterious artifact from the past was discovered, a seal dated to 600 BCE, depicting a war in which he participated. However, the most intriguing aspect was that he appeared to be hurling an unknown object at the enemies, which generated significant interest at that time. In 2002, during excavations in Babylon, a mysterious artifact from the past was discovered, a seal dated to 600 BCE, depicting a war in which he participated. However, the most intriguing aspect was that he appeared to be hurling an unknown object at the enemies, which generated significant interest at that time.
This is a wild one. I would need to know more about that object and its validity. For entertainment purposes only, don't believe everything you hear or see on this video.
In this video, we have a lady who was recording her spouse laying on an air mattress. While laying there, it seems like something was pulling him off and dragging him on the floor. Let's watch.
When I thought he was joking, but something was really pulling him.
I don't know. I feel like that would be pretty hard to pull off. I can't get over these watches they used to wear back in the day. I wonder what this cuneiform says. Wait for the end. Believe they're saying this is a possible image of Noah's Ark. I don't know who needs to hear this, but in 6 months, Michigan would look like this. It's definitely some fun times. Look how blue that water was. I could use an adventure.
This is the oldest map of the world in the world. And it's this which is so exciting, because it has cuneiform writing in it which says it's the Bitter River. And this water was deemed to surround the known world, because the area inside the double ring is ancient Mesopotamia itself.
What did they mean by bitter? What were they describing? Extremely cold?
In this video,
that is called the Temple of Warriors. I wonder what that is.
In this video, a person is house-sitting for his aunt while she's away. While relaxing in the living room, he spots the nanny cam monitor. When he checks it out, he sees something unsettling. Let's take a look.
I don't know if I'm seeing or tripping, but check this out. So this is my aunt's son's room, right? There's no one in here. Right? Nothing. Closet. Nothing. Got a nanny camera in here. Alright, now tell me, right on the monitor here, tell me that doesn't look like someone standing in the room. Like I've checked, like went back and forth 3 times, and So, okay. Nothing, right? Like, what the fuck? I do not want to go back in there. You have an idea? Put this, like, right here. Put this right here. Alright. Okay, I saw a ball in the other room. I'm gonna go grab it. Okay. Make sure it's clear. Alright, let's see how this goes. Okay, alright. Fuck, there is definitely something in there.
It could be the angle of the nanny cam and that stuffed animal that's making it look like that creepy individual.
In this video, we have Summer, who lives in a rural old town in Georgia. She was in her backyard one night and decided to take a quick video. While recording her video, she noticed something eerie. Let's watch.
Y'all, I am in my yard. Watch my face. This is not an app doing this. This is my yard. The church is behind me. Watch my face. Church, you can see straight through me. I kid you not. Look at this. Whoa.
In this video, we have Summer, who lives in a rural old town in Georgia.
This is definitely a glitch in the Matrix, and it almost looks like her face is changing to different people while she's spinning. And it looks like you can see through it. How creepy is that? What would make her do this in the middle of the night, though?
Talking about the quataloid. Okay. That's the insect praying mantis type looking, about 6 foot, could be up to 6 foot tall. They're the dangerous ones. And they're the ones, as I understand, that we didn't know a whole lot about. But we acquired this one, particular one, from a crash site, and it actually harmed a human. So we were very careful how we captured it and how we stored it at the containment facility at Stu Annex.
Rick, are there different species of quataloids?
Yeah, because they're genetically engineered, and we know that much. But so there are other species, and they also can appear different to humans. They make themselves appear in a particular manner to a human, and would probably just scare them, I would guess. But we know that one particular incident where one harmed a human being, we felt that at that point that these things were talking about the
light, right where I'm shining the light.
Flashlight, yes.
Yes, it is a flashlight. The light, right where I'm shining the light.
Sounds like they're using one of those spirit boxes.
Guys, do you hear this? Okay, what, you can explain that. That's all fucking hard. I don't know what else I could have done. We're calling bunkers. Stop, there's no monkeys here.
Oh my God. I cannot believe I'm getting this on video. Bitch, I told you. I ain't about to release this shit though. I'm not trying to have somebody follow me. Bro, what in the hell?
I don't know if I want to say I'm impressed or disrespected if I was this homeowner.
Despite numerous attempts to debunk this recording, it still stands as a legitimate, unedited recording. Although what they were recording is still a mystery. Have a listen.
Right there, just say moving right through there. My name is Stephen Michael Digna Jr. The following testimony is true and inaccurate as it can be at this time, to the best of my ability, and I am prepared to swear this testimony under oath before the Senate and Congress. I'm a former sergeant in the United States Army. I began active duty service in 1999, and I served until 2002. I was assigned to the U.S. Army Training Center, W4J9 Alpha Alpha, Fort Irwin, California, located in the Mojave Desert inside Death Valley near the Barstow, California in 2000. I was assigned to Alpha Company Group, Live Fire Combat Engineer Division, Computer Support Systems, and basically for civilians it's management for live fire operations. I acted as a hub between the operations group, intelligence planners, ground team, Air Force, and Star Wars programs. Thank you, Doctor. In July of 2001, I was observing a live fire practice at a level from an observation deck at approximately 3 stories high from the desert floor. I saw a craft in the distance at approximately 200 feet off the ground, measuring approximately 172 feet across, strongly resembling a hovering B-2 Spirit. Upon first glance, my eyes were adjusting to the darkness. I could see 7 lights in a V-shape. After that, I closed my eyes for approximately 30 seconds to allow them to adjust to lighting conditions. We were running red lights throughout the bunker due to the current live fire exercise. The range was hot. That means rounds are being fired and lives are at risk at all times. This was interrupted by a very, very ominous call, a net call. Said ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Came from one of our observer controllers on the ground. There's about 27 teams out there. Once my eyes adjusted, I could make out the general shape of the craft. There were 2 men from Raytheon present. I pulled out my night vision goggles to get a better look at the craft. It
appears to be a TR-3B, doesn't it? You see the V shape?
To be generating 7 lights along its wings and underbelly. I noticed another smaller craft oriented on the right side and at the same height as the first craft, approximately 75 feet to 100 yards to its right. The second craft was jet black, V-shaped, pointed towards the first craft. This craft had equally joined, spaced, rectangular sections forming the hull. The craft had a gimbal rack that deployed from the bottom of the craft. Approximately 5 to 6 holographic lights, holographic emitting lights were pointed directly at the first craft. That was my assumption due to the fact that they were displaying a strange color within my MVG goggles. Anyone that knows the old school, circa 2000 MVGs, they don't emit color. They give you green, grays, and blacks. I was seeing colors within my night vision goggles. This was not normal. And it was my assumption that perhaps this was a hologram being projected from the other craft. I can't confirm that. However, that was my assessment at the time. Observation deck from Raytheon noticed the night vision goggles I had. He went from chattering cheerfully. They were pretty relaxed. They'd seen these before. It wasn't abnormal to them. He looked at me with a very, very severe look of disapproval and anger that I had. At that point, they both went calmly inside, probably a little bit angry, and it felt as though I had crossed the line. I took another look with my night vision goggles. The reason this event was not reported was due to the fact that it was not unidentified. I'm going to repeat this very clearly to the cameras. This craft was not unidentified. This was on our birds, and to the observer controller that called that out on the range, I'm not going to put his call sign out. Roger up, eyes on, hands on confirmation. That's our bird, but she doesn't need wind to get lift. She was hovering stationary.
So it was a TR-3B. Wow.
Only 5 to 7 days later, sorry guys, this is personal. This affected the rest of my marriage, my life, and my relationship with my child. Approximately 5 to 7 days later, the following incident took place on Fort Irwin Road. It's the one road leading into the base. During the weekend pass, after the show, my wife and I had taken a pass to go see a movie. And this took place right after the live fire bunker, about 5 to 7 days afterwards. We skipped the second movie, or halfway through. I was really tired, just got back from running the range, 78-hour shifts with no relief. We passed a dry lake bed on the right-hand side. My driver's side mirror reflected a powerful white light into my eyes. I saw a bright white light pop up out of the canyon that I had just come from. I looked over my left shoulder and saw a zipping light. My name is Stephen Michael Digna Jr. The following testimony is true.
It was that black pyramid that just pulled up on the side of him. They was definitely stalking my man. I hope he's all right. R.I.P. Phil. Doubled up on you guys. If you made it all the way through this video, drop the double up Sunday in the comments below. Lets me know you're real when you made it all the way through the video, and I just want to say thank you. Your support means the world to me, and we're going to keep banging these boys out, man. Talk to me. This was a creepy video, disturbing TikToks, and strange theories that might just keep you up all night and change your reality.